Oh my goodness. Okay. Hi. Um, this is a little bit of an unplanned stream, sort of. So I thought that this year, it would be fun to do a little more with YouTube. I really like kind of a video platform that really appeals to me. I like to create things, so creating video seems really cool to me. And every year for I think 4 years. I didn't go and look, but I think it's 4 years. Every year I've done a series on my Instagram, mostly just for myself. It started out just as a way for me to keep track of it all in one place that was sort of creative because they were all through pictures since it's Instagram. Um, and I do what's called the hashtag Prokopis Planner and the year it is. So this year it's Prokopis Planner 2022. And I've done that every year um, since I think I bought my second Happy Planner, which is how I using planners, physical planners like this. I started using them in college. I have ADD. It's something I was diagnosed with when I was, I believe, in fifth grade, and it's something I have to manage um, through a lot of different ways. When I was a kid and I was in school, I was medicated, and I went off medication at some point in college, mostly so that I could then get on antidepressants for anxiety. And so along the way, I've had to learn how to manage both of those. I've talked a lot about that on my blog before. I'm pretty open about how I've managed my anxiety, and I've talked a little bit about my ADD. But for me, I found when I was in college that the easiest way for me to go about managing it and keeping myself organized um, was by leaving myself notes. So really, I think it started with sticky notes, and then the planner came along so that I could keep better track of my assignments. So when I would get a syllabus in college, I would make sure to write all the dates down in the planner way ahead of time. Um, and I would go through and make notes as I needed to. And then that got more detailed and detailed. And I found myself liking it for a lot of other reasons too, just like daily thoughts. It was a place I could jot down and be more mindful. So I had a planner one year where it had a space for every week for me to sort of reflect on how the week went. So that was an exercise I did with one of my planners. And then when the Prokopis Planner series started on Instagram, goal setting slowly became a really big trend throughout every year. And I find it to be super helpful. I love goal setting. I just posted, no, I haven't posted it yet. My blog that will probably be called something similar to this video. That'll be on my website. There is a link down below in the description. So that blog discusses how to set what's called SMART goals. So SMART goals are just a template that you can follow to set goals that are going to be more achievable than if you just set a general goal. So a lot of people, when they sit down to set their New Year's goals, they'll say something like lose weight, and that's the goal for the whole year. But a lot of people are not super successful in that, as you see gym memberships go up and then go down a lot. So the reason being for that is a lot of times people don't take a deeper look into the realistic side of that and what they need to do. And so that's what SMART goals do. Each letter of SMART stands for something. They're specific, measurable. So how are you going to measure success? When are you going to know that you've completed? Attainable. So is it realistic? Not just can you do it? Yes, but how? What like big 3 steps do you need to do to reach that, and in what order? R is relative. Why? Why do you want to set this goal? What does it relate to? Why is it important? And T is timely. So what is the time, the finish line? Where is that? And for these goals, the end of 22 is our finish line. But I thought I'd come on here and not just talk about how I set goals, but I wanted to show you this nice, pretty planner. So I get all of my planners. There we go. I get them all from, I think it's called My Big Ideas. It's the Happy Planner Company. I like them. They have the disc design with little hearts in them. But I also have a hole punch, and I can snap in and out paper as I want. And what I really like about this year's Happy Planner is that there were individual goal pages, so I could set my SMART goals at the beginning of every month. Something else that I already do and will continue doing this year is on every dashboard for the month, I keep a log of my 3 important, I guess, categories: read, write, and run. So how much did I read? What books did I read? How many miles did I run that month? And any goals that go along with that. And then my author writing goals. So did I achieve those? How much did I write? What tasks were on the agenda for this month? So for this month, since The Arena, my first book, comes out the 31st of January, my goals for writing include the last minute tasks like the audiobook. Still needs to get done because yes, there's an audiobook. I am doing a lot of that one myself. And so this month, the big need to do's are recording and uploading audiobook material, as well as getting my cover finalized, because I'm not entirely sure if my finished product will be back in time for my cover designer. So I might have to do kind of a mock-up of my own. Yes, so that's what some of those goals look like. So I'll continue doing that dashboard. If you're not super familiar with the photos, every month I post a photo of that dashboard to my Instagram and do like a short reflection. I do a more in-depth reflection on my website, which I will continue doing this year, except that this now I'm also for this year going to include YouTube into that. So I'll be talking in video format about how the month went as well, and some of my goals for the next month. That way you have 3 different places and they're all going to be very different. I think as far as my goals go, that's also kind of an ADD trait that I've developed, is restating things in multiple ways. So I keep my planner details like appointment dates, things I want to do, my goals. I keep all of that in a calendar in my phone also, just like most people probably do, with reminders set with the time and dates. And those things also get put into my planner. So I handwrite them out, and I handwrite them out in specifically colored pens. So this year I got Papermate Flare pens, which I adore because they don't bleed through paper. And they also come in really cool, vibrant colors. And so I have those. Each color has a different category attached to it, like personal, like doctor's appointments and stuff, are blue. Running gets to be gray. Writing's pink. There's all kinds of color coding systems that I use for that. The color coding in the writing helps me remember the dates a little bit better. So that way, they're in my phone with alarm set just in case I forget. So I have that tracker here. I write them down, color code them to help me remember and keep track, and also to doodle out the daily things as I go. And that's just the way that my ADD brain can better remember everything and keep track of it. So I can go back to it and look at the week and plan out here. So using a physical planner on paper is more of a mental thing for me than it is like something that I look at every day, I would say. I definitely look at it for the week. I do my planning for the week in here. And then from there, I remember my dates for the week most of the time. And if I don't, then I have my phone that keeps me on track with alerts. So that's how I've learned to manage my ADD symptoms, is just restating things a couple different ways. People with ADD tend to be kind of like physical kinesthetic learners. We learn better through doing things because it's easier to remember something that you physically do than something you think about, because our brains are like a little hamster wheel. They're constantly going. So that's how I use my planner and how I plan to use it for this calendar year. So it'll all be through this one. I really like this design. It says it's a perfect day to start. I don't typically choose my planners based on the way they look. I choose them more on the format. This is the big style. Happy planners come in 3 different styles. There's big, there's like their standard, which is a little smaller than this. And then there's mini, which is like pocketbook size. I like the big one best because it's easier to hole punch full size pieces of paper and stick it in. Then I don't have to scale it down to fit, which I really like. And this one is the vertical style. So here's a page at random. There's actually times for every day starting at 7 to 7. I don't know how much I'll use those aside from keeping track of like my appointments and things, and like live videos that have specific times as well as specific days of the week. But I like that it's there. There's a habit tracker up here for like a little to-do list. I do like the vertical style best because it's easiest to write downwards than try and fit everything across. I feel like I have more space. But what really attracted me to this particular happy planner was those goal setting pages, which are in addition to their normal monthly dashboard pages. So I really liked that because I planned to do it anyway. So you can follow along with me as we fill that out for every month. Some of the goals that I've set for this next year, some of them are repeats of things in past years. For instance, well, let me get started first. So I said before that when it comes to like planning out my year and the things I want to do, I usually stick to 3 big categories overarching, and that is reading. So I always set a reading goal. This last year it was to read 50 books. I did not reach that goal. The year before it was to read 50 books. I didn't reach it then. Maybe I'll reach it this year. I don't know, but it's the same goal. So my reading goal for 2022 is to read 50 books. Most years I get pretty close. This year I did not because I have been heavily editing and learning the ins and outs of publishing, self-publishing the arena. So this year I did not get as close as normal, but I think I got to 39. Oh, no, I got almost to 30 books, which is pretty low for me typically, most years. So in 2022, I'm hoping to read 50 again, and they vary a lot. In years past, I've stuck with different reading lists. This year, I want to read a great big mix of things. I want to read a lot more self-published books than I usually do. That's something on the list that I want to accomplish, as well as just the highly anticipated stuff and young adult fiction for this year. That's also included. But 50 is really the big goal. So that's one of my big categories. The other one's running, and running is where I have a repeat goal. This last year, I didn't really set a running goal because the year before, I had a baby, and my running goals completely fell through because I was going to run my first marathon. And when it comes to any kind of exercise when you're pregnant, it's totally safe, especially if you've been doing it before. If you are like into CrossFit or you lift super heavy weights, you can continue to do that if you're pregnant, especially as long as it's something you've been doing. The only reason doctors were likely to have to tell you no is if you've never been exercising. So if you find that you're pregnant and then you want to become an Olympic weightlifter, they're probably going to say, don't lift a lot of weight just because your body's not used to that. So mine was, but mine was not used to marathon miles. So my goal was to try and run a half marathon, and I did that loosely. So I ended up dropping out of the race altogether and just running. I think the most I ran at one time was 8 when I was pregnant. And so this last year, my only goal was to run a solid half marathon because I've run a couple of those before and I reached that goal. I ran my best time for the half marathon this last year. And so I decided in 2022 to bring back my goal of running a full marathon. So that's the only goal I have for running. I don't have a time set. I anticipate that I'll be able to run a pretty decent first marathon, but my goal is really just to finish it. I just want to run the marathon. So that is my running goal for this next year. I will probably run a fall marathon because training through the winter does not typically happen for me. I don't actually run a lot in the winter. Like this month, I took completely off. I didn't run at all in December. I hate the cold. I hate it. And so I'm not as likely to spend the time to run those really long miles. And so it works out better for me if I have the race completed before it gets real cold. So I'll probably run it in November is my goal for that. So I did my reading goal, 50 books. My running goal is to run a full marathon, and my writing goal for this year is to publish 2 books. One of those is The Arena because it comes out the end of January. So it actually comes out in 2022, January 31st. And I do plan on publishing another one. In my video about The Arena, my last Q&A, I said that originally The Arena was a standalone, but it has developed into a series. So there is a sequel, and I'm hoping to have the sequel out fall-ish. Fall of 2022, I think. But I want to get both of those published this next year. So those are my writing goals. I'd love if I could do 3. I have another book planned out that I've been working on. I was actually working on it before I even wrote The Arena, but there's lots of little details. It is also a series, but it's developed into kind of a bigger project, not a long series necessarily, but there's lots of moving pieces, and I wanted to make sure I got them all fleshed out and detailed right. So if that book comes out next year, that'd be awesome. I would love that if I could do 3. But the point of setting goals, just like those smart, it needs to be attainable. And while I could totally publish 3, am I going to be able to do it in a manner that I feel comfortable doing, in like a professional way, something I could put my name on and feel like I did the best I could? Probably not. So I'm going to stick with 2. So I'm going to read 50 books, run a marathon, and publish 2 books in 2022. So those are my overarching goals for this year. And just like I have in the past year in this series, I plan on making another video for the end of January where I assess how well I did with my January goals and talk more about the goals I set for myself in January. So I guess that's where this video is. This probably is where I should state what some of my January goals are. So for the month of January, I don't really I'm not going to set specific reading and maybe even specific running goals for every month, just because some of them are continuation. So for instance, running wise, I haven't run all of December. So for January, my plan is just to get back out there and start running again, just see where my fitness is, just continue to build miles a little slowly, just to build like a good base. I'd like to run a little quicker and feel really good at long distances. And so I'll probably build up really slowly and just get comfortable to running 10 miles again before I build from there. So that's pretty much my goal for January running wise. Reading wise, I don't have specific books picked. I'll have to read a couple. Right now, I am reading The Nature of Witches. So that's the book that I'm reading right now. It's about witches. They're all at this kind of school off on their own, and there are different kinds of witches that are over each of the seasons. So some witches are autumns, some are summers, some are springs, and they control the weather. And climate change has grown to be such an issue that the witches are having a hard time controlling the weather, and it's killing some of them slowly or depleting their magic entirely. And the main character is an Everwitch, which means she has power over every season, which is super uncommon. So it's about her finding her way and gaining control of her magic, because she actually hates magic, and so that she can better help with the climate and the weather. And it's her journey. So it's really good so far. I'm about halfway into it. So I'm reading that book this month. I don't really have any others lined up that I am planning to read. I guess I have a couple audiobooks. I want to read Abby Emmons. I want to read her new book, the Tessa and Weston's Best Christmas Ever, her book that she wrote for the Christmas season. I want to read that. I read her first book, which she also self-published. I read it, 100 Days of Sunlight. I read it when I was finishing up my training for my last half marathon. It is delightful. So I want to continue the series and read this next book. So I'll probably read that. I know it's after Christmas, but I'm trying to read it as close to Christmas as I can, so it's not getting posted about in like March. So those two books for sure this month. I said running. I'm just going to get back out there. We did put the treadmill back together. It's in the garage now. I have my own little running nook. I'll probably post pictures about that on Instagram once it all gets finished, because right now it's just the treadmill. And for writing, I have The Arena coming out January 31st. And so I'm just finishing up details. So I have all of the interior of the book edited and finalized. That's done. So now I'm just on the aesthetics of it all. So I'm getting the cover finished. Once I can get the cover finished and put together with the interior, I can have that up for pre-order if I get it done in time. So I'll let everybody know once that's up. I also need to finish recording for the audiobook. So that is the big project for this month, because I do have to do all 23 chapters of that. So it's going to take me some time to read and record that and make sure I'm happy with each chapter. So I'm trying to budget out my time. I haven't set specific like timely goals yet as to how I need to budget out when I have each chapter done by. I'll probably do a lot of bulk recording. So I'll probably do lots of recording on weekends because we do start back to school this next week. We have some training and then we start back in session. So I have to go back to work during the day. So that takes a lot of my time away from these kinds of projects. But there are my three priorities and goals for January. Audiobook and the arena cover. I want to get back on more of a consistent running schedule. And I'm going to start reading more books like The Nature of Witches and Tessa and Weston, The Best Christmas Ever. So those two for sure. And I think that's pretty much it. So that's what I'm hoping to do going into 2022, and also more specifically going into January. So at the end of January, I'll post a follow-up video. I'll also post my dashboard and my actual planner details to Instagram. And then I will blog about how it went and more about the goal setting and what kind of goals I set. Oh my gosh. And then I'll record a video like this one, but it'll be a review of January 2022 and all about my goals going into February. So that's all for this kind of surprise impromptu video. If you were able to join me live, thanks a lot. That's awesome. I'll try to do a better job letting everybody know next time when I get on to record a video like this. And hopefully the background for the January video looks a little bit prettier. This is still a work in progress behind me. I think I'm missing like a whole box of books somewhere. I think. But anyway, thanks for joining me. Make sure you follow me. All of my socials are down below. So subscribe to my YouTube, follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. You can also follow me on Goodreads to keep up with my reading list. So as I read books throughout the month, you can see what I'm reading and what I've read in the past. And TikTok. I've recently started more on TikTok. I think I only have like 2 posted, and one of them is my reading wrap up from Goodreads for this last year. So go and follow me there also if you would like, and send me messages if you want to chat and connect about books, more books, my writing. I would love to hear from everybody. So as for my goals for 2022, that is it. Bye.